Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
I'm Dr. Teresa A. Smith, your host of Talk With TAS. Today I have with me Melissa Banks. Melissa Banks is a award-winning master event planner. She is a best-selling author. She is a brand strategist. You hear me keep saying she is. She's a brand strategist. She's a personality. Melissa does a lot of different things. But one of the things that she does is she champions women. And so today we want to talk more about how she champions women in everything that she does. From the event planning to the books that she writes. She's just written another bestseller. It's an affirmation for mothers and daughters. So Melissa, when I think about you, I think women empowerment.
And that's my gut. That's what I breathe. That's what gets me out of bed in the mornings, is to empower women. And Dr. TAS, the reason I'm so passionate about that is because that's the core of who I am. Without that, I know where I came from. I know what that journey was for me. But when I started to believe in myself and that my voice is the voice I needed to hear and hear, that's what keeps me going. And that's my passion in everything that I do, just like you said.
Well, now, Melissa, give the folks the 30-second elevator pitch that don't know your story, because you said you wouldn't be here if you had not grabbed hold to that. I'm going to call it that mantra that you could be anything you wanted to be, but if you were going to be it, it was going to be up to you. Mm-hmm. Give them just a little bit of your backstory.
You know, Dr. Taz, I'm a domestic violence survivor. I spent 17 years in a marriage to what I thought was the love of my life. I met my ex-husband when I was 14 years old. So everything I believed, everything I did, everything I went for was based on what he believed. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know, I shared with someone recently that I didn't even know that I didn't like Gunsmoke, because I watched Gunsmoke every Sunday for 17 years. Mm-hmm. I didn't know I didn't like it. But it was because someone else controlled my mind. In fact, he even said to me, as long as I can control your mind, I control you. And that has stuck with me my entire life, because that is the truth. Whoever is controlling the mind controls your thoughts, controls your actions, controls who you let in. And when I woke up from that nightmare, when God delivered me from that situation 17 years in, I opened my eyes, but when I first fell, I couldn't even talk. I wouldn't even speak. I literally lost my voice, and it was a journey back. Mm-hmm. But when that journey came back, it came back bold. I can get up every day, even if things don't look good, but I know I have something to say. I know somebody out there is assigned to my voice, and I can encourage one person to believe in themselves, and that's what I'm going to do.
And Melissa, you do it so well. And when you talk about you didn't know you didn't like Gunsmoke, but that reminds me of The Runaway Bride. I talk about it all the time with Julia Roberts, Richard Gere. You know, she was a runaway bride, and at the end she didn't even know what type of eggs she liked, because whoever she was dating, whoever she was engaged to, she liked everything they liked. And you know, you talk about the fact that he even told you. Now that's bold. But guys, I want you to get what she said, because her ex-husband told her as long as he could control her mind, if I'm saying it correct, then he controlled her. But think about it. For someone to say that, it's a bold statement, but sometimes people are controlling us and they don't say it that boldly. But we don't get what they're doing. So whoever has your ear, that's it. They have your mind.
That's right.
They have your heart. And they can either free you or they can lock you down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why you hear me talk about Dr. Taz all the time, is you have to control not only what you hear, not only the people you listen to, but what you see as well, because that's infecting your mind, and that affects everything else. So I talk about that all the time. That's why you have block. That's why you have unfollow. That's why you can separate yourself. That's why you can look at the caller ID on their phone and know, I can't talk to this person at this time, because you have to control your mind.
Oh, now, Melissa, I'm going to say preach black woman, preach now. You know, preach black man, that's Jamal Bryant, guys. And I say preach black to anyone, be white, black, Latino. I say it all the time because that's my way of saying you've got a good point there. Because, Melissa, there are times that I can't watch certain programs on television. Mm-hmm. They're my shows, but my mind can't, I have to regulate, and my body lets me know, not that today, because I can't take in that type of entertainment. It's too much for me. And I've made the statement to several people that in 2025, I'm not putting up with anybody's toxicity. I'm going to say it that way. Because of what you just said, because if I'm taking in negativity and I'm trying to free myself, I'm trying to empower myself, I'm trying to get my goals met, all of that negativity weighs us down. And we're not able to move along the path that we're trying to get to. So, Melissa, for someone who's struggling to get in the game, meaning trying to achieve their goals, what type of advice would you give them as far as maybe looking at their strengths? Because, sometimes we don't think we have any strengths. What type of advice would you give them?
The best advice I can give them is what works for me. And what works for me is starting off the day with our affirmations. I believe in affirmations. I believe they changed my world. They changed my way of thinking when I could speak those affirmations even before I believe them. See, oftentimes we think we got to feel that way before we can speak it, but that's not true. You speak it as if it's so, and you continue to speak it. And when you know anything, you're speaking it with power and you believe it. I advise anybody, and not to just whisper it, not to just read it, but to speak it out loud in your house, wherever you are. When you first get up, start your day with affirmations and being grateful. I pray and be grateful for where I am and what God has already done, not what I want him to do later, but what he's already done. That sets my mind in the right place for the day. Now, even if the rest of my world is not looking like I want it to look, even if this is a challenging day, if I start the day off with affirmations and being grateful for where I am and what I have today, that gets me to the next step. So once you get to the next step, you can take the next step, and you can take the next step as long as you don't stop moving.
Now, that is so important. We can't quit. We have to keep moving. Now, I want to do a little wild card here, Melissa. And this is for you because you up for it. Now, we just talked about affirmations and the importance of it. You talk about getting up in the morning. You start with your affirmations and you say it loud and proud. Say it as if it has already occurred. Now, I want to do a wild card here. Now, Melissa also has jewelry, guys. She has jewelry. You see, she's just dripping in pearls, okay? So, if an affirmation could be embodied in a piece of jewelry, what piece of jewelry would it be?
Pearls, of course. That's the reason I do pearls. This is not just jewelry. This says I am a masterpiece. This says I am powerful. This says I am a winner. This says I have greatness within me and I control my space. Mm-hmm. It is pearls for sure.
Pearl begins as there's a little irritant, I believe. Mm-hmm. It's a little grain of sand. And then as it continues to irritate it, eventually that pearl emerges. And if you think about what we're talking about, you got a little irritant every now and then. It might be every day, guys. But if you keep persevering, talking your talk and talking and walking it as if it was already here, then you'll emerge as a pearl. But you got to get that in your mind. You got to get it in your ears, in your mind, so that it's a part of your heart, so that you live it all day long. Because it's going to be a whole lot of irritants out there. It's external irritants, it's internal irritants where we've taken on things that we shouldn't have taken on, or we've taken on other people's energy or their baggage, and we pulling it along with us as we're trying to manage our stuff. So the fact that the pearl is it, which I knew that it was something more than just, you like it. I've never seen you put on a piece of pearl jewelry that doesn't look good. Now, I can't say all the pearl jewelry I put on look good on me. I'm not going to say that. But on you, it does. Because it's about what's on the inside that's radiating out. And the pearls, when it radiates out, the pearls are just highlighted. It's like it's a beam of light that's radiating from you. And I would then say, because it's your go-to, then that keeps you grounded and keeps you focused on where you're headed. What role of having a limitless mindset played in your personal and professional growth? Because I know where you come from. You told us you're a domestic violence survivor. I know from past interviews that you didn't have your plan B, C, D, however you usually say it. But you have managed to reinvent yourself over and over again. So how is having a limitless, meaning that the sky's the limit mindset, help you to achieve this success?
Oh, wow. Great question. You know, when I started this entrepreneur career, I had no idea. I was not this person that was dreaming of owning their own business. I grew up in a small town in Mississippi. My mother raised us as a single parent. I didn't have those dreams. I didn't see people around me that was running businesses. So I didn't have those dreams. God placed that in me. Mm-hmm. I was working a great job at the time that happened. I thought, what is this for? I didn't understand that language. But a few weeks later, when I was laid off from that job that I had been at for 10 years, where I had stock in the company, where I was going to school through company paid benefits, weeks later, I understood what was happening. So in that fear of losing, and now I'm a single parent trying to raise my young boys, that fear of what's next, I couldn't sit in it, right? I didn't have a plan. My plan was there. Yep. I couldn't sit in it so I just had to move without knowing, without understanding, and without even knowing the next step. But I still had to move, and that's how my career, my entire journey has been. Even when things get hard, even when I can't see the next step, I know I got to get up and take a step. And I say to anybody, you know what? It feels heavy, and people look at someone like me and think that it's not heavy for me, that she's just pushing on. It's heavy for me. But what I do know is if I'm going to go to the next level, if I'm going to go just till tomorrow, I got to get up and I got to do something, because you spoke to this earlier. I can't just sit there and magic happens. Yeah. And I have to be willing to do it when it's uncomfortable. In 2020, when the pandemic hit and my event planning business was at its height when that happened. It was the biggest year I had ever had in my entire career. The events that I had were the largest budgets I've ever worked with. And then the pandemic hit. And I thought it was over. I thought I was done at that point. And then I met a friend of ours, Cyrus Webb, and he gave me opportunities, or let me know those opportunities were there. That I never would have thought of. See, that's God believing for me bigger than I can believe for myself, because he had it already lined up. But I still had to do something. I had to be willing to pivot. I had to be willing to do something I had never done before. And each step that I've made has caused me to do that. You can move. There's no boundaries. You keep moving that line. You keep moving that line and being willing to get up and do the work and move that line.
Well, Melissa, and I really applaud you, because as you said, when everything shut down, those in the hospitality industry were really hit hard. And I've seen you progress from your conferences, your virtual conferences, to last year you started doing, I'm trying to see if I can say it. I'm not going to say it correctly, but you're going to give me the word. You started doing online shopping with your lives, where you're showing your jewelry and things of that nature. Well, think about it. Even let's say 2023, did you think that you would be basically your own QVC? Because that's really what you're doing. You're showing off your merchandise to a global audience, because everyone can find it now on Facebook. Did you even think that was a possibility?
Absolutely not. That was not in my playbook. I didn't want to do it. I didn't like going live. And definitely talking about my products and selling my products, that was not even on my radar. And then it's been an amazing time. We've met women we wouldn't have met if we had not been doing that. And every time I meet a woman, that's an opportunity for me to speak to them and encourage them. It's been beyond what I could dream for myself, for sure.
So now, Melissa, we've talked about the fact that you your work spans multiple industries. From your motivational speaking, your entrepreneurship, your branding. How do these elements, and we've hit at it a little bit, but how do these elements come together to help women build both their personal and professional dreams?
Well, I believe that when women see other women pushing through, that's why it's important. That's why I find it important to talk about the journey and not just the juicy good stuff in the journey. When women hear other women went through some really big stuff, but they kept going. They didn't quit at that moment. They went to the next thing. They kept showing up. My biggest thing is just keep showing up at your best and then keep moving forward. I believe when women speak that into other women, when women see that from other women, it empowers them. And I believe that in my core, that of course men can empower us, but not the way a woman can empower another woman. It's just different, and it makes them want to believe in themselves. It makes them believe that, yeah, I went through this horrible thing. I went through 17 years of domestic violence. I'm sitting here today speaking to you. If somebody else is going through it right now, but I can encourage them that there's life after that. Don't give up on themselves. Get the help that they need. I can continue to push, continue to share that horrible, horrible season in my life. And they can look at me now and see that I continue to move and continue to keep going. And that empowers women.
Well, Melissa, I don't know where the time goes. I'm like, okay, I don't know where the time goes, but as we begin to bring it to a close, I think you said you could have sat in it, but you didn't sit in it. You didn't sit in it. And when you were just talking, I was thinking about how I got over. It's an old Christian song, I think, how I got over. How you got over to the other side, the rainbow. And, your Dream by Design, everything that you do is about helping other women get over so they don't have to stay stuck where they're at. If you could give one piece of parting advice, we're still at the beginning of 2025. What advice would you give to women who may be on the fence, not necessarily about domestic violence and getting out of that, but just on the fence of doing or pursuing their dream? What advice would you give them?
The advice I always give, to just start. When you make that decision to just start, that's the beginning of everything. Because the next thing, something else is going to happen the next day and the next day and the next day. And when you know anything, you're making it happen. I would say to you, first of all, you got to see it. Visualize it in your mind that you can be whatever you want to be, and continue to tell yourself that, so that you can take that first step toward what you want to see. And then you have to imagine it happening to you. I mean, I tell people to close your eyes and just see yourself standing on that stage. If that's your dream, to stand on that stage and speak to hundreds of women that's cheering you on. Imagine that happening to yourself, and then believing it in your core, no matter what you see in front of you, believing it in your core, even when you getting no after no after no after no, and nothing seems to be happening. Don't give up on believing it, because Taj, you just gave a perfect example, and that's of the pearl preparing before it's a pearl. What if it stopped in the middle of the irritation? It don't get to the wind. So you cannot stop when it's hard. You got to keep going, because that wind is there. You just have to believe, be willing to do the work, and get up every single day taking steps toward it.
Guys and girls, everybody, Melissa Banks has been my guest today on Talk with TAS. Melissa, how can the audience stay in touch with you so that they don't miss a bit of your energy and your empowerment for women? And then,
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This has been so inspiring and empowering. I know we helped a lot of women today. And to stay connected with me, simply go to DMelissaBanks.com. All of our links are right there, our social media links. You can listen to some of our episodes of Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. You can connect with us on the event planning website. Everything's right there, though, at DMelissaBanks.com.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to the audience that have joined me also. Until next time, make sure you take care of yourself before you go taking care of somebody else. Bye now.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.